Hey everyone, it's Sunny Slaughter. So I wanted to talk about today's cases and add a little more commentary. I think I'm going to try to do this on some on the cases that I'm on Court TV and the Long Crime Network and other shows. So I wanted to talk first about the Ohio versus Josh Stills, the NFL player accused of rape and so in 2019, uh, when he was a part of the Philadelphia Eagles football player, he was accused of kidnapping and raping a woman as a college athlete in 2019 in Underway, Ohio. Joshua Matthew Sills is now 25 years old and was indicted on January the 31st on one count of rape and one count of kidnapping. According to the Ohio Attorney General's office, Stills is accused of holding a woman against her will in December of 2019 and engaging in sexual activity that was not consensual. So he he is currently on leave according to the NFL's policy. But one of the things that I talked about in this case that is going to be difficult for the jury is the the evidence. Now I know we like to get into the emotion of a case, but I always want to focus us back to what the evidence says. This is a very large individual. He apparently they were at a bar, left with some folks. The alleged victim called MM and her cousin were in the red pickup truck that Stills was driving at the time. And he is a very large individual. The cousin got out of the vehicle, and what they are saying, the kidnapping charge comes from her allegedly not being able to exit the vehicle. She accused Josh of forcing her to engage in oral copulation of him and holding her down and not being able to breathe. So currently, the Dr. Andrea McCullum from the coroner's office, she is the forensic pathologist that was hired by the defense team. And she reviewed the information provided by law enforcement, the information provided by the SANE nurse, and other relevant information to determine what may have occurred uh, in this particular case. Now, the alleged victim is still alive, and I did not see any testimony by the alleged victim, but someone that the immediate person following the alleged incident did take the stand, Bing, and she was very emotional giving her testimony. She, being the individual who is potentially the friend of the alleged victim, said she did notice bruising on the victim's inner thighs and legs, but that there she did not notice any other bruising. So in this particular case, when the alleged victim, says that the alleged perpetrator forced her to engage in oral copulation and he held her head down, and that she was fighting to get away. So in order for that to happen, that is where the strangulation piece comes in to this particular case. There should be some signs and indication that this occurred. Remember, this is a linebacker, very large individual, 6'6". The vehicle was a small pickup truck, and the alleged victim has indicated that he forced her to lie down flat. So, and that he engaged in this type of physical activity with her. The reason why I am not sure about this particular case is based on the facts. You have to think about size does matter, as my co-guest said, attorney Marie Pereira. Size does matter in this particular case. The size of the individual, whether they're able to turn, all of the movement. When Bing, who followed them in her car, got to the home, she did not notice the truck moving in any particular way. And if there's a very hard struggle going on, you're best believe that this big man is going to rock a truck and that this individual. So, according to what the coroner is currently, who's on the stand right now on court TV, she did not notice any indications of strangulations. This is not a very strong case based on evidence. This is going to come down to he said, she said. And I know a lot of times, and I am absolutely a domestic violence and sexual violence advocate, but I am also a law enforcement expert and litigation expert, and I focus on the facts. And the facts are this case is very weak on evidence that is contrary to what the alleged victim is indicating in this particular case. You might not like it, but those are the facts. Also, if they can't find him guilty on the kidnapping, on the rape, then they won't find him guilty on the kidnapping charge as well. And I also want to say this about strangulation in cases. So strangulations in many states is an enhancement on a case, which adds usually additional time for whatever the initial charge is. So if it was rape, then a strangulation would add, in some states, an additional 5 years is usually somewhere around there. So that is always something to think about when you hear cases and they specifically set out strangulation, because it is a separate act, a separate charge, and carries different penalties. And in domestic violence cases and sexual violence cases, it's usually what they call an enhancement to the particular crime. And an individual who has ever been when I'm training law enforcement, because some of you might not know, I am I'm a federal law enforcement instructor formerly with the Department of Homeland Security. I have a specialty in crimes against persons. And one of the things that when I'm training and talking about strangulations and ethics and writing with law enforcement is that language matters. Language in how you speak and language in how you write. So when a victim or alleged victim or someone in the general public is often talking to you and they're talking about a particular case, they will say choking, the person choked me. They might say that. Well, choking and strangulation, they might seem like they're the same, but they're actually not. Choking is a medical term. Strangulation is a legal term. And people don't choke other people. They strangle other people. And if I am working on a case and a law enforcement professional puts choking and does not put strangulation, or does not clarify that they understand in the legal terms and in the training the difference between strangulation, that's a hit for them. Because you really need to focus on, I have something that I created called L3, Lens, Language, and Law. And you really need to know the difference between what that looks like and how to write it, how to say it. If the person that you are interviewing says, well, they were choking me, and then the expert should say, the law enforcement, so as you indicated, you were being strangled. How were you being strangled? All of those things matter in a criminal case, whether they held you from the back, whether they held you from the front. How did the impact happen? And it is very, very important that pictures, actual photos, are taken of the individual's neck, because not just their neck, but you need to take pictures of their eyes, law enforcement, and you need to take pictures of their inside of their mouth, just as the coroner was saying, because those, even though there might not be any outside bruising, that is one of the things that they're going to look for from an expert like the medical examiner. Additionally, there was one of the reports was the SANE report. So SANE, capital S, capital A, capital N, capital E. SANE stands for Sexual Assault Nurse Examiners. They are forensic examiners, and they conduct a different assessment in a sexual assault case than an ordinary or a regular nurse, I will say, that is not a sane nurse. Sane nurses are trained to meticulously and methodically go through an individual's body to collect forensic evidence, which will be used in a case later. Every hospital, every facility, if they don't have a sane nurse on hand, they need to have access to one. And as someone who has set in on some sane, I know a lot of sane nurses, and I've actually set in on some examinations of adults and children. They're very intrusive, but very necessary. So you don't want to, if you have been the victim or know someone who is the victim of a sexual assault, and if you are the first person that they come in contact with before they get medical attention, you don't want them to take off their clothes. You don't want them to take a shower, not even wash their hands. You don't want them to have anything to drink if they were engaged in activity where body parts may have touched their mouth, or even if there was any kissing. Your body literally becomes a crime scene, and the preservation of the crime scene is really important. And I know some people don't want to get this done, but it helps in every case to have the full exam done. Also, the victims have the right to deny a particular individual. I've been at a hospital before in another place where I lived, where this was a woman who was the victim, and the person that they had on call in the ER to come and start doing her initial exam was a man. And I had to hold him at bay, and he was a doctor. Now, I'm going to tell you, he didn't like it, but there are some considerations that hospitals and facilities have to be aware of. If you have been raped by a man, then whether the person is a different color, a different size, just the presence can cause anxiety, and that needs to be addressed. And we just need to be mindful in everything that we are doing. And speaking of Josh, if he is not guilty of this, I want to say this. The presumption of innocence is really an important part of our criminal justice system. Even though we might not like the crime, we might not like the person, but we always need to be mindful that even though he may not be guilty of this, say he's not convicted and the charges are dropped or whatever, there are people that will still think he is guilty of this. And this is a stain on his life. So people should not make false allegations. They should not say things that could potentially change the dynamics of someone's career forever, or someone's lives forever. So I did want to talk about that. The next case that I wanted to weigh in on was a surprise to me today when I jumped on the air, was the Jonathan Majors case involving domestic violence and sexual violence. And today he was supposed to start his trial. I was able to see him with Megan Good. But let me see. No, not that one. I was on two different shows today, so I was kind of caught off guard. Hold on real quick. Let me make sure I got all of this. And so this was a domestic violence case. And the actor has been he starred in Marvels, and some people might know him for all the work that he has done. And because of the allegations, he has lost so many opportunities for this, right? But let's focus on the alleged victim in this particular case first. So Majors was initially arrested in March, right? And charged with a misdemeanor assault, aggravated harassment, attempted assault, harassment, and strangulation following a domestic violence alleged dispute with his then girlfriend, Grace, right? The strangulation charges were later dropped, okay? And Majors has pled not guilty to the other four charges. So, see, strangulation is, let me tell you, you got to get the strangulation piece very right because it is a serious, serious charge. Serious charge anytime somebody says that they were strangled. People mostly say choking, but I said that earlier. But even though these are four misdemeanor charges, these are still serious charges for someone like him. But he and the alleged victim were in a relationship, and apparently they've had some incidents. So it's been noted in the past, but we don't know. Jonathan Majors has indicated he has not abused anyone, and they said that they have evidence to the contrary. So we'll see what happens. The case is slated for now September the 6th. Megan Good, his also his current girlfriend, is also an actress, but careers can be changed and lives can be shifted based on allegations, and it doesn't matter whether they are uh, actors or NFL players or just ordinary citizens trying to live and work and play. Domestic violence allegations can stop a whole host of things. Stop you from being able to carry a weapon, can stop you in some jobs and everything. So these are not accusations to take lightly, whether they are misdemeanors or not. We'll have to let this case play out and see what happens. And also, you might see me nearby when this case goes to trial. I've got an invitation to both the Law and Crime Network and Court TV live, and I think I might just go to New York for this one. So stay tuned and we'll see what happens. Last case that I wanted to, I think this is the last one that I wanted to talk about, was I am not sure what is going on in the yoga world, but once again, a yoga teacher has pled guilty to hiring and conspiring in the death of her child's 2-year-old child's father. I mean, what is going on with the yoga fans? She uh, left one state, went to another state, and then her apparently she didn't want to have any contact with the child's the baby's father, and so she said she thought about killing him for an entire year. And she asked her current boyfriend if he knew anybody that could hire a hitman. Can you imagine the hair on the back of his neck standing up? These are dangerous individuals. Very, very dangerous individuals. And as someone that has had a family member, my brother-in-law, he was murdered by with a murder for hire scheme by his wife at the time, who is currently in an Alabama prison awaiting the end of that sentence so then she can go to serve the time on his case in Georgia. We should never take these things lightly. These are very serious cases, and more you are seeing women uh, actually try to hire a hitman. So, not sure what's going on, but there is definitely too much going on. And lastly, I do want to say something about what is this? Oh, child, let me tell you about this widower. What in the world? So, Nevada versus Thomas Rudolph. He was the widower in a murder trial. So, he was tried in 2008 shooting for the shooting death of his wife and the hitman he allegedly hired to kill her, right? So Thomas was sentenced to death in 2017 for the murders of his sixth wife, Sharon Rudolph, and the hitman, Michael Miller. His conviction was overturned in 2021 after the state's highest court found the district court abused its discretion by admitting prior bad act evidence. Let me tell you, this prior bad act evidence is when it is always going to be a problem, because it seems like more and more cases are coming around where prior bad act evidence was admitted, and then cases are getting overturned because the judges um, should not have admitted it. As two of Court TV's finest said earlier today, if you don't need to use it, don't use it. Let the weight of your existing case stand where it is. But there is always something going on. Let me see. I get on these shows and I forget that I'm actually can talk to y'all. Hey, everybody. Hey, Hope 8 for Fear. Hope 8 Fear. How y'all doing? Let me see. Who is this? Oh, uh, you are well today, getting the needed rain at home. Good, good. Hey, beautiful. Hey, Ava, what you doing? Okay, so I just like seeing you guys on. Yes, girl, the sixth wife. Let me tell you, I don't know what is wrong with people, and they're doing all these murder and everything, but it relationships, if they get that complicated, they need to be over, because this is ridiculous. People don't need to be out here trying to kill anybody. I think I've kind of touched on what I needed to touch on today. Um, you said keep talking. I mean, I don't understand these cases. Oh, now I'm looking at Josh Sills' case because I have TV on right here in the office while I am. Oh, and then one of the judges is talking now. These relationships can get really complicated, and oh, you think COVID quarantine that? Mm, you know what? That could be true. COVID quarantine relationship messes would be more prominent. Well, one of the things that was talked about, Grand Lotus oh 01, one of the things that was talked about was the number of domestic violence cases and the increase in domestic violence that occurred during COVID, because people were not able to get out. The services were not readily available in the same way. And we're not sure. And I think the lockdown did impact so many people in so many ways, because people were not used to being confined to these type of, to the enclosure. And when violence is occurring in the house, and people can't escape, it's very, very hard for them, really hard for them to seek services, safety, and all of the other things. And even young people, when you think about their how much they focused on, they were in homes and they had access to television and social media. Now, today I had a conversation with one of my really good friends who's an attorney, Jim Moya, and we were talking about, we're thinking about putting together a show, and I'm going to call him and ask him about maybe jumping in on one of my commentators, one of my things here. We were talking about, he believes that social media, which he is not on, has really done a lot to the psyche and to individuals. And this is playing a huge role, social media, in how people are evolving in the violence. What do you all think about that? Now, I believe that social media can play a huge role in violence and commentary and things that people get access to. But I also believe that it has its place in bringing more awareness to things as well. It's like the videos that we see and capture, and when people's lives are impacted by trauma or, you know, some type of violence. It says, well, if one kid wants to play outside, they will probably play alone. Yeah, you know what? They're right. You're right. And kids don't go outside like they used to. I grew up outside. We played hopscotch and double dutch. I'm from Trenton, and we did all of these things outside. We used to even make go-karts out of what do you call it? What are those crates? So we used to put the crates together and build boards and with the wheels off the old bikes, and we would go outside. Kids don't go outside today. When my kids were growing up, they went outside. I like to go outside and play. Not only were they getting fresh air, but they were also getting exposed to the elements of the world. Yeah, yes, we knocked on doors for our friends to come out. Now, I could go out except for the times when I was on punishment. you know, Sometimes I would be on punishment. I probably should have told y'all that, but yeah, I get on punishment. And um, oh, y'all had 10 p.m. Oh yeah, so you are right, and that was good. So, do you know where your children are? I actually started writing something about that. Do you know where your children are? And I did a campaign on that. Do you know where your children are? And that was because of the number of children that would come up missing in communities and trying to keep awareness and everything. But let me tell you, my mom, Judy, please, when the street lights came on, you better have your behind at the house. Not like stroll into the house. No, we used to run. I would run. I want because my mother, she stand outside and start calling me like in the whole neighborhood here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got home. You didn't have all of the things that you have now in a lot of communities, and communities where were villages, and I think we have missed a lot of that. The other thing, did you all see? I was talking about the Parkland shooting today. Judge Ashley and Marie and I, we were on that and kind of talking about what is going on in the reenactment and everything there. That is going to be very painful for, I believe, for the families to do the walkthrough and do everything that they need to do with that. Oh, your mom will yell your name from the back porch. Yes, child. And let me tell you about that one time when my mom locked the door because I didn't come right away. Yeah, I had to sit outside. I had to sit outside on the porch until my father came. And he got home. He was like, "What are you doing outside?" I said, Your wife locked me out." Now, mind you, that was my mother. But when I would get mad, I was like, your wife locked me outside and I couldn't get in. And he was like, "Come on." And I'd be like, "I don't know why she do that." And I had a telephone in my room. Child, when it got to be too bad, I have to unplug the phone. She like, "Bring that phone downstairs." Jeez. So I had to take the phone. I had a blue phone too because I love the color blue, and then I had a blue room. Had to take the phone and wrap it up, wrap the cord because this was like the plug-in phone. Had to wrap the long cord that I had, and then since I lived on the third floor, right at the bottom of my steps was the linen closet right behind there. And then she wouldn't like take it and put it in another room. She said, put the phone. I had to sit the phone like right down there where the linen stuff was. So every time I came downstairs, I kept my door closed, I would see that my phone was down there. And it was like the dare. Oh, I know you not get ready try to sneak it upstairs and talk on the phone, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Honey. Yeah. The see-through one? Yeah, my mother was, let me tell you, my mama did not play, okay? She did not play. Ain't no fooling around with that girl. Ever, ever, ever. But all right, now y'all know I gotta like try to do some real work because I am back on the road next week. Oh, I'm actually back on the air tomorrow at 8:30, I think, a.m. for Court TV. I know, right? So you need some of these tactics for your kiddo, Ava. I don't know if kids these days they go for those kind of tactics these days. I don't know. I think those are old school tactics. I don't know if they work on these new school kids, but thank you, Hope Fear. All right, so I've got to go because, as I said again, I am working on some curriculum for my client. I can't wait till I can actually share what that is. And next week, I am in the car and on the road, a couple hours away, to go do a focus group to see how we can roll this out if law enforcement thinks is good. And we're going to roll it out this year, one way or another. But hopefully, it will bring together law enforcement, public safety, and public health. It's going to merge those two conversations. It is not a new curriculum; it is a revised curriculum. And oh, hey, Leanne, girl, I didn't know that was you. Oh, girl, sissy, I didn't know that was you. Um, it's good to see you. So we'll see what happens. But listen, you all continue to be amazing. Stay safe, keep a sound mind, and do not end up on any of the shows where I got to cover your cases. Okay? Love you all. Talk soon. Bye. You, I know it's